Buckle up, information overdrivers. You're about to be informed and entertained.
I'm TJ Williams, a camera person working through cruise control here in Seattle, Washington. We've been shooting aerials for a long time. When we first started, it was with the first Jet Rangers. At that time, you used either the classic or the Tyler mounts. And the Tyler mounts, the classic mounts, both set inside the ship. You had to take everything out of it, pull the pins, you opened up the door and took it off, you took all the upholstery out. Then a technician spent a couple of hours installing this mount into the helicopter and bolting it down. It was an FAA certified mount, either certified for that type of helicopter or perhaps in the case of classic, only one individual helicopter. And those were rigidly mounted to the helicopter, and they helped you then to get a more stable shot than you would have by doing handheld. The mount was stabilized by inertia. There was a big weight of an arm and a spring that took out all the vibration. It was also stabilized by KEM, that's K-E-M gyros, which are still in manufacture. And they use the K4, K6, and K8 gyros to help to stabilize that mount. A light touch was a big deal in order to be able to get good smooth shots with the gyros. In the wide end of the lens, the stabilization was pretty good. But once you got out in a longer lens, you started to have a swimming effect. It wasn't really good enough for a long lens. But in wide lenses, if you got the helicopter close to the action, you could get some really amazing shots, really smooth, looked a lot better than handheld. The next step in the development of high-end aerials was the introduction and rise to prominence of the A-Star helicopters. A-Star helicopters are a little bit more stable than the Jet Ranger. There's less vibration, and because of this, given the same mount and the same operator and the same pilot, you can get a little bit more of a long lens push-in. Concurrently with this, people went to these ball mounts, and inside that ball, what's going on is there's a gyro-stabilized camera. Either on some rigs, you can get whatever camera you want. On others like the Cineflex, it comes with the camera that's in there, and that's what you use. These don't stabilize through mass and inertia. They don't stabilize through gyros resisting the turn. What they stabilize with is gyros that sense the position that the helicopter is moving into, and then use motors to roll the camera back and forth to hold the same position. Suddenly that kind of shot, looking at the guy on the balcony and pulling back to the whole city, became possible. Of course, things changed price-wise too. The current rate on a Cineflex system is in excess of $3,000 a day, plus the technician, plus the travel days, plus the mount in and the mount out time on the helicopter. By the time you get it in a city other than New York or Los Angeles, you can expect that with travel days and all that, you're going to pay something in excess of $10,000 for your day. The Cineflex and the Space Cam are still the big guns for aerial mounts. And really, if you can afford it, that's the way to go. If you can't afford one of those mounts, though, this is the change that's happened in the last couple of years. Right now, you can go out and you can buy or rent small mounts that will take intermediate size HD cameras and that will allow you to stabilize them in a way that's similar to what the Tyler mid mount did. In some cases a little better, in some cases a little worse. These mounts, because they're not FAA certified, are a lot less expensive, and there are differences in the half dozen manufacturers that make these, and some of the differences are about how they're configured. One thing is you want this to hang so that it's free and takes the vibration out. The other thing is you want it to hang through the center of the mass so that when you tilt down or you tilt up, you don't have to use a lot of effort, and the gyros can still exert their maximum stabilizing effort. It's nice if your camera actually has stabilization inside it. You're going to be able to add that stabilization in and zoom in even a little bit further. In these new lightweight mounts, one of the most important things is to be sure that your camera and your mount are secured. This is 2,000-pound nylon that'll prevent it from falling out of the helicopter and perhaps hurting somebody on the ground and, of course, destroying the gear. It's also good that your camera should have the capability to hang and roll easily, so that as your helicopter moves through the air and tilts the nose up or down, you can maintain the horizons out there and make nice level shots. When you're doing this, you want to stay inside the wind. The wind is coming right across here. If you get the nose out into the wind, it's going to shudder and shake. So you want to keep it back here into the wind, and the mount's got to be so that it can do that. If it's mounted right hanging from the door and the guy's pulling back on it to keep it out of the wind, of course the gyros aren't working well. The gyros here have a lot more effect. That's why if a mount like this is properly configured, you can get shots with this that you'd have a hard time getting with a Tyler mid-mount. When budget is a challenge, one of the things you should look at is the Robinson 44. It's a 4-place helicopter. It'll carry one of these small, non-certified mounts, and it'll carry the director, the pilot, and the photographer for less than half the hourly rate of a Jet Ranger. The last real compromise you can make in a helicopter aerial is the Robinson 22. The Robinson 22 is only 2-place. The director's not going along, but some of the smaller of these non-certified mounts can fit in there, and you can still get the shot. These helicopters are light, they're very subject to wind. You want to be really sure if you're going to use one of the smaller helicopters like the Robinson 44 or the Robinson 22 that you've got a day when there's not a whole lot of wind. Good pre-production is essential. Get the clearance that will let you get close to your subjects, and plan to have a good solid shot list. Choose the right camera operator who has experience with the aerial mount you're using and whose ideas of composition are like your own. Find a pilot who has motion aerial experience that fits your project. Finally, aerials are expensive. Choose a mount, camera operator, and pilot who will work as a team to get what you need.
Consider yourself informed. I hope you've been entertained. See you next time.
So where do you download Information Overdrive? Go to Cruise Control's website and click Podcast.